Hey, what's up guys, Gavin here, and in this video I'm going to be building an automated system from scratch that is an online course or community onboarding system. So essentially what we're doing here is just watching for new students. We are sending them a contract once they have paid, and then once they've signed that contract, we're going to invite them to our Skool community. We're going to keep track of them in our Airtable database, and we're even going to send ourselves a nice Slack message to notify us, the managers, when that actually happens. The software stack that I'll be using is Stripe, Airtable, Pandadoc, Slack, and Skool. If you aren't sure, I definitely recommend this software stack. It's all super easy for automation, and either way, this video will likely make your onboarding process more efficient, no matter what that looks like. And if you're looking to build automations as a service like me, then this is just gonna help you, and all this software is free. With the exception of Stripe, which you need a business to have a Stripe account. Everything's free, you can follow along, and you can just trigger your automation right with Pandadoc and skip the part where I go over Stripe. So yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, what do we have here? So we have two automations in the system. This is the first one. When a Stripe payment is made, send them a Pandadoc document. And then the second one, will watch for that Pandadoc document to be signed by your client or your student. And then we are sending a Slack message. That's just a notification to the managers. We're creating a record in our Airtable database, which is just a database full of our students. And then we are actually inviting that student to our Skool community. So a lot of people don't know that you can invite people to Skool programmatically. They don't have a make integration natively, but we can go ahead with an HTTP request and send this data right to Skool. So let's break this down. Let's build it from scratch. Like I said before, if you don't have Stripe, you can just start this whole automation off with Pandadoc when a contract is signed, and it's all free, right? So you can start with a free trial of the Pandadoc plan. You can use the free trials of Make and Airtable and Slack for all those pieces, and then Skool, you do need to be paying for community in Skool to be able to invite people. But you know, even if you're on Discord, that's free. Or if you're in a trial of any other course program really, like Circle or Kajabi or something like that, then you should be able to automate that aspect as well. It'll just look something like inviting a member. All right, so first things first, you're gonna create a new scenario, and what's gonna trigger this off is Stripe. So if you look up Stripe, you'll see watch events here, and this just triggers when a given event occurs. You're able to select the event, and there's literally a million things you can do with Stripe, but I'll show you how to connect the one you're probably looking for, which is when a successful payment is made. So let's grab that, and then we're going to add a webhook here. When you go to add a connection, you're just going to select Stripe API key. You're going to select restricted key here, and then what you're going to actually grab here for the key is a test key. So if you go into Stripe, you go to developers and you turn on test mode, you'll be able to grab a secret key there, or generate a secret key that's used in test mode only. So fortunately, Stripe thought about us automation people, and they're not going to make us use real money for testing things out. So go ahead, grab your secret key from Stripe in test mode. Again, go to developers, turn on test mode, and create a secret key and paste it right in here and save that connection. Cool, so we are all good there. You can go ahead and rename this if you want to checkout succeeded. Because basically what we're doing here is grabbing checkouts that succeeded. So if you go to group, you'll see a million things, everything I was talking about, right? If there's a dispute, if there's a refund, you can trigger anything from Stripe, and their API is super robust. But all we're really interested in is a checkout, and we're going to do checkout session completed and checkout session async payment succeeded. The second one I think just means if a payment was delayed, or something like that. But all you need to worry about is this automation will trigger for successful payments no matter what it is. So it doesn't matter if it's a payment link, it doesn't matter if it's a subscription, whatever it is, this is going to trigger your automation. So just keep that in mind, right? Maybe some other subscriptions or products or stuff like that, you don't want to trigger this specific automation, then you can simply add in a filter to take care of that. But we'll go ahead and save this here. We'll press OK. We'll save the automation, and then go create a fake payment link in your Stripe test mode. Fill that out to do a fake transaction. I'm just going to do one for $100, and then we're going to come back and see how that data is coming into Make. Cool. So as you guys can see here, I have 424242. This is a fake card. This is how mine is set. You can find how yours is in Stripe, and this is just paying Automation Unlocked LLC $100. So I'll go ahead and pay that. You'll see. Make sure you're on test mode. Don't actually pay $100 here. So we'll go ahead, pay that, and then this will take a minute and process, and then in a second, it's going to be over in Make. So now if I back out of this Stripe, you'll see there are 1 records in the queue waiting to be processed. This is great. This means that that test payment has received our data and we are good to go. So one thing that I didn't mention to keep in mind is if you're doing a payment link with a specific product, you might as well go ahead and make that exactly how it actually would be in your actual Stripe so that you know exactly how to map it, the product name, stuff like that. So you can go right into here, you can run once and use existing data. That's going to use what's in our webhook there. And then boom, we get a nice output here with some data. So lots and lots of stuff here. You'll see the amount total. Looks like it's saying 10,000 here. That's just because Stripe's API passes in the data this way. So you're going to have to divide by 100, but that's super easy in Make. And then we can actually get some details about the person who bought it. So if we go to customer details here, we have my address, which I'm not going to give away. We have my email and my name. For right now, this is all we'll need to fill out our Pandadoc document. So before I add in a Pandadoc document, if you're following along, you can go sign up for Pandadoc for free. Highly, highly recommend. I've had clients switch from DocuSign and whatever else they're using over to Pandadoc because it's just way easier for automations. And it's essentially the same thing at the end of the day. So let's go to Pandadoc and I will show you guys what I'm talking about. So once you're in Pandadoc, it'll probably look something like this. And what we can actually do is just grab a nice template over in their template gallery. And this is just basically docs that are ready to go. Obviously, you'll have a different agreement. Everybody will have different fields in it. But the purpose here is just to show you how to automatically fill out a document so that you don't have to go do it every single time and it can be custom and automated. So I'm just going to go to marketing here and I'll grab this marketing agreement because it looks like it's got some nice fields for us. We'll just press continue there. We'll add recipients in a second. Beautiful. All right, so now that we have this, what I'm actually going to do is make this a template. So if you go up here to the 3 dots and you convert it to a template, this is going to allow us to use it in our automations. Cool. So as you guys can see in here, there's client first name, client last name, and client company. Company is not something that I'm going to do right now. Of course, that is likely something that you might want to add. And then this stuff is all going to be filled out when I do create the document. And then there's a few more variables in here, sender company and client company. And then at the very bottom, of course, there'll be some signature spots. So over here, you can actually go to variables, and this is where all these client company, client first name, stuff like that comes from. And you can even create a custom one and call it literally anything you want and automate that within Make. So super cool stuff there. And then as far as these signatures go, you can actually assign different roles. So often there's going to be a few roles. In my case, I like to just send emails automatically signed by me with my name. It doesn't really make sense for me to go in and sign it every single time. So I'm just going to delete this part and pretend like I had my signature here ready to go. And then this is just going to be the client here. So I want this to be my client. So I will assign this field to the client. That means when they get this document, they'll just have to come sign right here. Great. And so now that I have this how I want, and it's saved as a template automatically, I'm going to go back over to Make and show you how we can fill this out with dynamic data. All right. So into Make, you're just going to look up Pandadoc, and we are going to be creating a document here. So go ahead and create a connection. It'll just have you OAuth over into your Pandadoc that you just signed up for. Everything's free. Sweet. And now we have a Pandadoc ready to go. So as far as document name, we're probably going to call this marketing agreement for now with the name there. And so to do that, we'll just go over into our data here, customer details, and grab my name. So we'll just say marketing agreement for Gavin Thibodeau like that. And then template ID, we can simply just select the marketing agreement template that we just made. So nice and easy. And then here's where we can actually put in that dynamic data. So I'll always select send a document yes, because I want to send this via email. And I'm just going to call this marketing agreement. And then here's where we can fill in that data. So the sender email, that's going to be me. That's going to be the same every time. So I will just type that in. And then the client email will be the one who just paid us, right? So here is our client. We're going to ignore the company. We do have first name, I believe. We just have the full name. So just going to put that in there for first name and ignore the last name and remove that from my template. Just for demonstration purposes though, let's fill this out so you see how it all works. So press, looks like I need a message. Please sign this, thanks. Hopefully you're more formal than that, but let's press OK. Let's save, and let's actually go ahead and turn this automation on. Now, let's back up here for a second. What's going to happen is I'm going to go create another payment link, or probably use the same payment link, fill that out, and then what I want is for this Pandadoc to create a document and send that off with these fields already made. All right, so I just paid my test transaction, and now Make is getting ready to launch. And here we go. All right, so looks like it was all successful. I did mess up a space there, so that's good to know. This is why we test, folks. And we'll press OK and save. But let's go check what this looks like in my email. All right, so as you can see, we have our marketing agreement via Pandadoc. Please sign this, thanks. That's my nice message. And then we can open the document and view it. And some of the fields should already be filled in. Prepared for Gavin Thibodeau, created by Gavin Thibodeau Digital Operations. I know, guys, it's a bit confusing. I got my name in here twice, but if we look at my template, that is good, right? We have taken the client first name, last name, and if something's empty, it's just going to be empty. So remember, in the first name, I put my full name, but it showed up perfectly fine, which is awesome. And then it's just asking me for my signature down here. So perfect. Once I do this, we'll be good to go. But let's start building the next part of our automation, which is going to actually watch for when this document is being signed. So let's save this and rename it Pandadoc contract. I'm naming it 1 because it's going to be number 1, the first part of my system here. Something nice that I always do, and then I typically make folders for, you know, specific systems. All right, so this next scenario we will be firing off with Pandadoc. So if you go to show more here, you'll see that their instant trigger is watch documents, which of course is what we're looking for. We want to trigger the rest of this automation when this document is signed. So we'll select that, create a webhook. So you should already have your connection right in here, and then you can just go right to naming your webhook. We will name this Doc Signed Marketing Agreement. You don't have to get this granular. You might just want one trigger that's all your documents and then different routers based on what document that is. It's probably a more efficient way to do it. And we're just going to select all for the payload. This is just telling us what to include. And, you know, I always say might as well include everything. If you know exactly what you need, then just do that. And then triggers, we do not want to select everything, right? If a document was deleted, if it was failed, any of that stuff updated, we do not want that to trigger our automation, because that means that our client, our student, probably didn't sign, right? What we want is a recipient completed, okay? So keep in mind, if you are a recipient as well and you like to sign your own documents, then this will also trigger that automation. But you'll probably come in as recipient 1 pretty consistently, so you can add in a filter there right after this. But basically, this is another reason why it's just easier to already have my signature ready to go, so that there's only one recipient when I'm actually sending these. So we'll save that, press OK, and now let's make sure this thing's working. So we'll save. Again, we'll back out of it. We'll go sign that document and make sure that this triggered. All set, document is complete now. And now we'll see that there's one record in the queue waiting to be processed, which is great. So again, run this once, we'll use existing data, and then boom, we'll see the action was by me. So next step is we want to notify ourselves in Slack. So if we go to Slack, we can create a message. Again, you don't need to do this if you don't use Slack, but I like it a lot, and it's nice to have all my notifications for everything that happens, right? A document was signed, a payment was made, stuff like that. So we will be doing a bot connection, and then I'll connect Slack. All right, once you have Slack connected, you're just gonna allow the Integromat bot to access the workspace. And then sweet, so now you can enter, actually select from the list, because that's easier than entering the channel ID, and then choose literally any channel, public or private, to send this data to. So I'll just send it to my general, and I'll say, fellas, first name space, last name, just signed the agreement. Cool, we'll press OK there. And next we will be creating a record in Airtable. So let's go into an Airtable base and show you what I'll do. And guys, I'm literally just gonna do name and email because that's all that I wanna demonstrate is how you can add stuff in Airtable programmatically, but I'm sure you'd have a bunch more stuff here like amount, you know, the status, specific more details about your program, whatever it is, but this should show you how to automate it. So now we'll go ahead and add Airtable, and we're just gonna create a record here. So if you need to add a connection, you can go ahead and add and do an OAuth, and then that'll take you over to Airtable, and just make sure you grant access to all workspaces and you'll be good to go. But I can go ahead and just select my base and the table I just made, and then we're simply gonna map some stuff from right here. So it's gonna be the action by, we'll do first name, last name, and then my email. Okay, we'll press and save that. And now we can do another test, but I'm confident that this is gonna work, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do our last piece, which is the Skool invitation. So a lot of people don't know this, but if you have a Skool community, they have what's called webhooks, and basically you can actually send data to the Skool webhook that's unique for your community, which will automatically invite whoever's email that is, right? So a lot of people have Skool communities that cost a bunch of money, and they have some guy who manually looks at everybody who pays and signs a contract and goes and adds them to the Skool. That is not optimal, guys. You can automate that whole thing, and it saves so much time, especially the more and more people that you want to add to your community. Of course, if you're just having people purchase right within Skool, then this is not necessary. But for those higher ticket ones, and even some lower ticket, just depending on what your workflow will look like, then this makes a lot of sense. So if I go to the settings of my community, I can go down here to plugins and then see webhook, right? So you might need to turn this on. But if you go to edit here, it's going to give you a unique address that you can actually invite people to your community with. And then it says simply append emails to the end of your webhook URL like this. So I'll show you how to do that in a second. But anytime you see something like this in Make, you can use what's called an HTTP request. So let's go ahead and set that up. So look up HTTP, and you're just going to do make a request. And then there's the URL there. So you're just going to input that URL that you just copied. Mine's going to be blurred here. And then we're just going to do what it told us, which was question mark email equals email. Then we'll add the action by email there. And this is a post request, which means we are sending data. Just remember, post means send, get means get. Pretty straightforward. And then we'll parse the response, because I always like to do that, but it doesn't really matter. So now that that's that, let's go ahead. Let's save this. We'll rename this to 2. Be nice and clear, nice and organized, guys. We'll go ahead and turn that on. We'll back out of here, make sure all looks good, and let's go sign another document. Or you could even start from the top and go actually do another payment. I'm just gonna sign a document to show this automation because I know that part already works, but whatever floats your boat. All right, so here's my fake document again. Just gonna sign this. We'll press finish and then over to our automation. Boom, so as you can see, we got a 200, that is good. That means I'll get the invite from Skool. We got the Slack message, and we created a record in Airtable. So let's go check everything. So as you can see in my coaching student database, there I am, my name and my email. That was all automated and good to go. All right, and finally, here it is. Gavin Thibodeau invited you to join Digital Operations. So even though I have a paid and private community, this invite link goes right to that email and allows them to join, and that can only happen with this specific link that's generated temporarily. So there you have it, guys. That is a full-blown automated process with Stripe to Pandadoc to Skool. Again, this is just the basics of what you can really get done. My actual onboarding process looks much more robust than this, as well as the Airtable databases and stuff like that. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely check out some links in the description for some details on me. And please let me know down in the comments what you want to see, right? Talk about softwares, talk about flows you'd like to see, how I think about certain things. You know, being an automation developer for the past couple of years, I've learned quite a bit when it comes to Make and Airtable and AI and all these little niche things. So if you're into that kind of stuff, please consider subscribing, like this video if you found it helpful, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.